At this moment, 747,000 Canadians are living with Alzheimer's disease. This number is expected to rise to 1.4 million people by 2031. This disease often affects people over 65, but can also affect those at younger ages. It's a disease with no cure and is terminal. This is the story about one brave woman's battle with Alzheimer's, who, with the support of her family's strength and love, is living to make more memories.
See me, not my disease, but at the same time understand that I am going to forget things, and I'm not going to be able to do a lot of things that I used to do before. It can be really, really scary. It's lonely, and it's scary.
In January of 2013, 56-year-old Linda Blanchette was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. At that moment, her and her family's lives changed forever.
My biggest fear was, how's this, am I going to be around for my kids, even graduating from school, or if they get married, am I going to be around for that? Or, what does this mean for me? It's been a bit of a ride because it's been really, really interesting, but there were little things like, just lashing out at my brother-in-law, calling him an asshole and things like that. And just things that were just off for me, not the way I was. And car accidents, I had several car accidents.
Linda wasn't the only one who realized she was changing. Her husband Paul and daughter Monique also knew something was wrong. The whole family was getting frustrated and started looking for answers.
So just the behavior started changing. We went to the doctors and started ruling out all of the other things that it could be. Look for chemical imbalances, menopause, is that part of what's going on or not?
Leading up to her diagnosis, things were really intense. Is probably the best word. They were stressful and confusing, and there's a very tense feeling.
Doctors continued to look for a diagnosis until one day, Linda and Paul were both called into their family doctor, who also happens to be a close friend, and they were given some unexpected and unclear news.
As we were leaving, the doctor pulled me aside and said, "Paul, give me a call right after you get home." And so he told me, he said, well, it's a disease that has no cure and it's terminal. And I said, oh, okay. How much time does Linda have? And he said, well, it could be as little as 2 years, and it's not really clear. And that's why you're going to be going and getting some further tests done.
The next step for Paul was breaking this unsettling news to his wife. When learning of her diagnosis, Linda's first reaction was shock, but there was also a sense of relief.
Oh, shit. What do we do now? But but then after that, it was like, okay, this explains a lot. And once the crying stopped, it was like, okay, now what do we do? It's just about getting information. And I think that's the key for people. It's, okay, get the information quickly, get in there and get that going.
Linda's family remembers their biggest fears when learning about her Alzheimer's. Their daughter Monique, who at the time was only 16 years old, was confused and didn't know how to accept the news.
My biggest fear at the time was, how much time do we have? Because we didn't have a lot of information right at the beginning, the first piece of information I had for how long is she going to be able to live was anywhere from 2 to 20 years. And so here's me, 16, and I'm thinking 2 years. Okay, so I'm 18, maybe not even before my grad, like high school graduation, and then 20 years, that could mean she lives to see me get married, have children, like have a life, a career, and be happy and continue down that road. And so I think that was then the feeling that I struggled with most, was just the fear of, when am I going to lose my mom?
Paul also had fears of his own.
My biggest fear was for Linda and her not being able to live as much of the life that we wanted to live with our family. And that's the biggest fear. But understanding that's the reality, it's a matter of accepting it. That was the biggest fear, is that it was going to be difficult and hard on Linda.
Their son Matt, who was off at university, was scared of the effect his mother's diagnosis would have on the entire family.
I thought that just how hard it was going to be for my dad, especially, because he loves my mom more than anything, and he supports his family so much. And just for him, just these things piling on and seeing my mom like this, I can't imagine how it is.
While Linda and her family were still struggling with the news, they looked for more answers.
The doctors got us down to UBC research facility to get more information, and that was really, really awesome.
They were able to learn more about the disease by visiting the UBC Alzheimer Clinic. Dr. Howard Feldman, director of the clinic, describes the disease Linda and her family now faced.
Alzheimer's disease is a clinical disorder that is progressive over time. It impairs functions of the brain, such as memory and language, problem-solving abilities. It also can disturb behavior and can alter a person's ability to function in social settings.
Linda was happy to have more answers and wasn't ready to surrender.
You know, don't get caught in victim, I guess, is the key for me, is just don't get caught in victim. And yeah, positives are just understanding why I was reacting the way I was. Yeah, there's a lot of negatives, probably more negatives than positives, because I get confused a lot. But the positives are, I'm here. I still get to see my kids every day and Polly every day.
So Linda could live her life with few barriers. The family made adjustments in their lives.
Linda is an extremely independent woman, and she's lost a lot of that independence. I think that's probably the toughest part. So we made adjustments for that. In the house, we've got little stickies here and there to indicate if the dishwasher is dirty or clean. We've got a calendar that I put up it's got 2 months and it's got today. And so it's a way for her to get the answers without getting stuck.
Although Alzheimer's is a well-known disease, it's often misunderstood.
I think the biggest misunderstanding is that my mom's like crazy or gone. She is still my mother. And I love her dearly, and I always will. And she's still the woman who raised me. I can hear her crying. I love her so much. No, but she is. I love my mom a lot, and I am so grateful that she's still in my life.
Linda and her family wouldn't be winning the battle against Alzheimer's disease on their own. They get a lot of support from the BC Alzheimer's Society.
And they give so much of their time. They give it. They don't get paid. Those ladies, they volunteer. That's their passion in life, is to help people. We would have been way longer. The BC government is not set up. The health ministry is not set up to provide the support that the BC Alzheimer's Society is giving at this stage. But there just needs to be more money put into it. There will have to be, because there is a wave, a huge wave coming of people that are going to be getting Alzheimer's, because the baby boomers are getting older. And this disease statistically will happen to more people, period.
Paul's concerns are demonstrated in recent studies. Dr. Feldman verifies this and hopes people will understand this disease won't be going away anytime soon.
It's been projected that there will be an exponential growth in the number of individuals affected, particularly as the demographics of Canada are shifting, and where up to 25% of the population will be over the age of 65.
People just don't understand that she still cracks jokes. She still is kind of sassy sometimes and thinks she's funny. She still likes to get out and spend time with people and live. She has a life, and her Alzheimer's hasn't taken that life away from her.
The Blanchettes are taking a negative and turning it into a positive. They refuse to let Alzheimer's defeat them. They instead are letting it empower them to make a change in the world.